World War II, the deadliest war in human history. Imagine waking up to the sound of explosions outside your home. The sky is filled with smoke, your city is in flames, food is disappearing, and millions of soldiers are marching toward battle. For the people who lived through it, this was not a movie. This was reality during World War II. Between 1939 and 1945, the world experienced the largest and deadliest war in human history. More than 70 million people lost their lives, entire cities were destroyed, and the course of history was changed forever. But what caused this global catastrophe? Who were the major powers involved? And how did the war finally come to an end? Let's explore the full story of World War II. The roots of World War II began long before the first battle was fought. After World War I ended in 1918, Germany was forced to accept the harsh terms of the Treaty of Versailles. The country lost territory, its military was severely limited, and it was ordered to pay enormous reparations. Germany's economy collapsed, unemployment rose sharply, and many people felt deeply humiliated. In this atmosphere of anger, fear, and desperation, Adolf Hitler rose to power. He promised to restore Germany's pride, rebuild its military strength, and expand its territory. By the late 1930s, Germany had already begun breaking international agreements and invading neighboring regions. On September 1, 1939, Germany invaded Poland using a military strategy known as Blitzkrieg, or Lightning War. Fast-moving tanks, aircraft, and infantry overwhelmed Polish defenses in a matter of weeks. 2 days later, Britain and France declared war on Germany. World War II had officially begun. During the early years of the war, Germany won one victory after another. Denmark, Norway, Belgium, the Netherlands, and France all fell quickly under German attack. In 1940, Britain stood alone against Germany. The German Air Force launched the Battle of Britain, hoping to force Britain into surrender through relentless bombing. But British pilots and civilians refused to give in, and Germany suffered its first major defeat. In June 1941, Hitler launched Operation Barbarossa, the largest military invasion in history, attacking the Soviet Union. At first, German forces advanced rapidly across Soviet territory, but as winter approached, freezing temperatures, supply shortages, and fierce Soviet resistance brought the invasion to a halt. The Soviet Union began pushing German forces back, marking a major turning point in the war. Meanwhile, Japan was expanding across Asia and the Pacific. On December 7, 1941, Japan launched a surprise attack on the American naval base at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii. More than 2,400 Americans were killed, and much of the U.S. Pacific Fleet was damaged or destroyed. The next day, the United States declared war on Japan. Soon after, Germany declared war on the United States. At that moment, the conflict became a true world war. One of the darkest chapters of World War II was the Holocaust. The Nazi regime systematically murdered around 6 million Jewish people, along with millions of others, including Romani people, people with disabilities, political prisoners, and other groups targeted by the regime. The Holocaust remains one of the greatest crimes against humanity in history and stands as a powerful warning about the dangers of hatred, racism, and dictatorship. By 1942 and 1943, the Allies began to win major battles. The Soviet victory at the Battle of Stalingrad shattered Germany's momentum on the Eastern Front. In North Africa, Allied forces defeated Axis troops. In the Pacific, the United States stopped Japanese expansion in battles such as Midway. Slowly but steadily, the Axis powers began losing ground on every front. On June 6, 1944, Allied forces launched D-Day, the largest amphibious invasion in history. More than 150,000 soldiers landed on the beaches of Normandy, France. Despite heavy casualties, the invasion succeeded and opened the way for the liberation of Western Europe from Nazi occupation. By early 1945, Allied forces were advancing from the west, while Soviet troops closed in from the east. Berlin was surrounded. On April 30th, 1945, Adolf Hitler died in his underground bunker. A few days later, Germany surrendered unconditionally on May 8th, 1945. Victory in Europe had been achieved. Although Germany had surrendered, Japan continued to fight. In August 1945, the United States dropped atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The destruction was unlike anything the world had ever seen, and hundreds of thousands of people died either immediately or from the long-term effects. On September 2, 1945, Japan officially surrendered. World War II had finally come to an end. World War II left much of Europe and Asia in ruins. More than 70 million people had lost their lives. In response, the United Nations was created to promote international cooperation and help prevent future global wars. The war also accelerated technological progress, reshaped world politics, and marked the beginning of the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union. World War II was more than just a military conflict. It was a struggle that tested humanity itself. It revealed the devastating consequences of dictatorship, hatred, and unchecked aggression, but it also showed extraordinary courage, sacrifice, and resilience. Even today, the lessons of World War II remain as important as ever. Remembering history is one of the best ways to prevent its darkest chapters from being repeated. If you enjoyed this video and want more fascinating stories from history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching.